So, Luke 23:34. Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they're doing. Now, I imagined Jesus on that day, just dangling on the cross, saying those words, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they're doing. Now, I know, and we know, who he was talking to. Who them was. He was talking to all those who were present there, all those who were in the past, all those who were to come for all generations. But for me, I wanted to focus on the people that were there in the present day. There were the thieves that were on either side of Jesus, one who kept mocking him, and there was the angry mob of people that was before him that yelled obscenities to him, hateful words, claiming that he was a blasphemer, saying that, you're a fake, a false prophet, false teacher, you're nobody, you're no son of God. The religious leaders who was like the spark, the match that lit the fire under all those angry people, they're the ones that deceived them into thinking that Jesus wasn't the Son of God. He wasn't who he said he was. Even though Jesus gave them all the proofs that would conclude anyone that he was the Son of God. Now, these people that I've listed so far, their abuse only was verbal. Their words, even though words hurt, it stopped at the sound of where their voice was heard. The distance of where their voice was heard. Now the Roman soldiers, on the other hand, they were the ones that physically took a toll on Jesus' body, tortured him, tore him apart just enough so that he can still be able to dangle on the cross. Now, these Roman soldiers actually differ a lot from the others because they actually had no reasoning behind why they were condemning this man. Pontius Pilate even said, I find nothing to condemn you of. I don't see anything, but these people still want to crucify you. They had no understanding of who this guy was. In 1 Corinthians 2:8 it says, none of the rulers of this age understood it, for if they had, they would have not crucified the Lord of glory. Now, despite all these sinful words and abuse and things that caused the Lord to suffer at that time, that day, despite all that, Jesus still looked upon these people and said, Father, forgive them. How could this be? These people are basically counting themselves as your enemy, Lord. Why are you still forgiving them? They are against you. They're causing you to suffer. Okay? I asked myself that, and I said, even during his suffering, he asked for their to forgive them because it was his purpose. His purpose, I kept reading, and you know what? He needed to say that because basically he's summing up his whole life. His whole life's purpose. His whole life's purpose is to forgive. And to show, in those words, it showed his intentions for the world. His intentions and his place in God's plan was to bring grace, to bring mercy, to bring forgiveness unto all the unworthy. Now, I thought, who killed Jesus then? Who really killed him? If that was his purpose, he knew it. The cross didn't kill Jesus. The Romans didn't kill Jesus. The Pharisees and the Sadducees did not kill Jesus. You know what? Jesus willingly gave his earthly life for the sins of mankind. It says in Ephesians 2:8-9, for it is by grace you have been saved, through faith, and not from yourselves. It is the gift of God, not by works, so that no one can boast. Jesus, in this verse, is the grace, is our faith, and is the gift of God. Through him we receive forgiveness. Through his willing sacrifice, we're able to be forgiven. And in Matthew 5:44, and this is where I ended, in Matthew 5:44, Jesus says, love your enemy. And you know what? Jesus isn't a sinful person like many of us are. He's not one person that's a hypocrite, that says one thing but does another. When Jesus says something, He does it. And you know what? He said, love your enemy. And you know, with those words, He said, Father, forgive them. And all the people that were there, for the majority, were enemies of Him. And because He said, love your enemies, and by saying, Father, forgive them, He was showing them love, and therefore He was fulfilling what He said earlier in Matthew. He's love your enemy, and by saying, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what He's doing, He showed that He loved even His enemies. But it was up to them, and it is up to us now to accept or reject that forgiveness. And I ended here, and I'm so thankful being here and being given this opportunity once more. And I'm so glad that we're in a place where the majority of us here, if not all, are forgiven and have accepted that forgiveness. God bless you guys.